All footage for this video was taken from the second beta for this game, as it is not out as of me making this video. However, all knowledge should translate over to the full launch since I don't get too specific. Please pause the video and go back if you need. I go through stuff pretty quickly so that the video isn't an hour long. If you want to practice some of these concepts for yourself, assuming you own the game, please pause the video until you feel comfortable with said concept. All good? Alright, let's actually start this thing. Alright, first things first, let's talk about how to read combo notation so that you can understand your friends when they are talking about this game. Look at the number pad here. It's mine. I know I need to clean it. Regardless, see the numbers? They equate to the directions. 4 is backwards, 6 is forwards, 2 is down, 8 is up, 5 is no input, and you can fill in the rest. Not that hard once given context, right? Just know that every input is discussed as if you were on player 1's side, aka your character is on the left side of the screen. If they're on the right, flip the inputs. And now for the tricky part, the actual buttons. While in some games you don't have to learn every button, SNK games in general, SNK are the developers of this game, tend to want you to use every button for different circumstances, so I will cover all of them. For arcade style, the game writes them as light punch, light kick, heavy punch, heavy kick, and rev guard. However, that is not how we as a fan base write them. For us as a community, it's A for light punch, B for light kick, C for heavy punch, D for heavy kick, and E for rev guard. It's called a few other things, here they are, but for this video, it will be E. A attacks tend to be fast checks to deal with your opponent quickly and easily. B attacks are also fast but tend to be used as a way to open up your opponent if they aren't careful. This is especially shown in several characters jumping B attacks. C attacks are your big punish option for big damage after blocking a punishable attack, and decent speed pokes to check dashes. Finally, D attacks tend to be the slowest of all the attacks but have the biggest reward on hit. They also have the longest range normally to work as strong mid-range pokes. Not every hit can lead into a combo in these games, so good pokes can be more important to focus on in this game sometimes, especially when you're starting off. Lastly, E on its own doesn't do an attack, it does a special type of block that I will go over later. You can assign each button however you like in Character Select by pressing the button indicated based on your platform. There's even a button preview to make sure all your buttons are correct before hopping in game, so there is no excuse! Just kidding, mistakes happen all the time, no judgment. Certain things are done by pressing a combination of buttons. For example, pressing A, B, and C has your character do a taunt. Not important for actual gameplay, but who doesn't want to know how to taunt your opponent? You can even match them out after a round is over for extra flair. For specific movement, E can be used with a direction to make certain mobility options easier. Double tapping forward lets you dash. 6E does it a bit easier. Some characters have a run dash where you hold forward and they just keep going, and others have a step dash where they can only go a certain distance with each dash. Double tapping back gives a back dash, for E is the macro. Jumping while dashing gives a super jump, basically a normal jump with some more horizontal distance. Finally, tapping, not holding any up direction, 7, 8, or 9, gives a hop, a shorter jump. 7, 8, or 9 plus E is the easy method. Any additional inputs and whatnot are on these images SNK put up on their website, and will be discussed later as we build upon fundamentals. Now that all the buttons are understood and how we discuss movement is complete, it's time for you to pick a character, any character, whichever one speaks to you the most. And look at that! We have Cristiano Ronaldo in this game! No, seriously, all the football fans are losing their minds. Though I personally am a Bundesliga fan. Mia-san Mia. Cannot wait for this guy to win EVO. Just Google Cristiano Ronaldo Las Vegas to find out more. Now, after this whole spiel, you should have hopefully picked a character at this point. Please, your God, tell me you picked a character at this point. We can't progress much further if you haven't picked a character. It's not that hard. Do you like the basic bitch, an edgelord, a brawler, or a gooner? There are 4 characters for you right there. I've made it easy for some of you. For the purpose of this video, I will discuss the basics with Rock and some of the later things with my main in the beta, Kyne. Just know that when the Suave main is on the left-hand side of the screen, shit's about to get real. Now that a character is chosen, let's take a look at all the information given on screen. There's a lot, but let me break it down for you. First up is the timer in the top middle. It starts at 60 seconds, and if it goes down to 0, whoever has more health wins the round. Speaking of, the health bar. If yours gets reduced to nothing, you lose the round, game, or set depending on how far along you are. But what's that in a third of your health bar? That is SPG, or Selective Potential Gear. SPG is one of the main things differing City of the Wolves from other fighting games, and it can be put right at the start of your health bar, in the middle, or at the end, and it gives some interesting benefits. While SPG is active, it does a bunch of different things, but if I explain it all right now, it would just confuse you. What matters about SPG for you right now is where you want to put it, which is mostly personal preference, alongside its passive benefits it gives you, which is health regen and a damage buff. The next bar is down at the bottom, and that's the super gauge. It's split into two sections for level 1 and level 2 supers. This should be self-explanatory, but level 1s cost one section, level 2s cost both. Don't worry about it too much right now, it's not important at your level. Finally is the rev gauge. It does a lot, but for right now, just know that the E button uses it to block potentially crazy things you could see easier, which causes the rev gauge to increase. Alongside normal blocking, RevGuard just costs more rev due to RevGuard's other benefits. Also, if your rev gauge goes to 100%, you will overheat and cannot RevGuard among other things. Do not get overheated. It is very bad. Have I said rev enough yet? Don't worry, it gets worse later. Next, hop in training mode and get a feel for a lot of the buttons. Most buttons in this game have a purpose. Right now, just focus on fast buttons for a punish, normally 2A, a good low, normally 2B, a good far poke, varies by character, but it's either a far C or a far D, we'll get there in a moment, and a good anti-air, either 2C or 2C and D. Just know that in arcade style, every standing attack that requires a button press has what's called proximity, so the attack changes based on whether you are close or far from the opponent. For example, a close A would be notated like this, and a far A would be notated like this. These attacks are called normals. As the name implies, these attacks are pretty normal. Punches, kicks, elbow strikes, knee blows, sweeps, the works. Nothing special about them. At this point, you know enough to hop into your first game online or with friends. You are going to lose though, I guarantee it. It's not cause you're bad, it's cause you don't have all the pieces of the puzzle yet. Don't worry, the point of this video is to help you get there. Let's add one more new puzzle piece that you'll need. Oh, and also apologies for shoving all these concepts down your throat. I've got a video to finish and a beta to record, and it's Wednesday as I'm recording this. College and life have really been fucking my gaming life in the ass. It's fine though, I'll be back on the grind soon. Getting back on track, new concept alert. Neutral. Neutral can easily be summed up in this video, but this is the only video that you need, and that one also uses Strive, which functions differently from this game. So let me break it down for you in regards to this game. The basic rundown is that neutral is when no one is hitting each other and can be played similarly to rock, paper, scissors. Neutral ends once someone is at advantage or disadvantage due to an attack hitting or getting blocked. Who's at advantage or disadvantage depends on whether the attack hit, the attack was blocked, as well as the strength of the attack itself. Lights tend to have better advantage compared to heavies. There's always a trade-off in these games. To use RPS terms, paper is patient passive play, waiting for the opponent to make a mistake or forcing them to make one and punishing them for it, play in reaction to what your opponent is doing. You can't be punished if you're doing nothing at all. Rock, in terms of RPS, not the character, is the aggressive playstyle, in a controlled fashion. Face rolling your controller does nothing but make you look like an idiot. Play fast but play smart. Mobility matters more than just trying to hit your opponent.
But my opponent is just spamming projectiles from full screen. This is stupid paper play.
Actually, it's more in line with throwing rock. See, they're just mindlessly throwing fireballs from full screen. This is a form of aggression. Don't believe me? Ask someone who doesn't know how to deal with fireballs. We'll discuss how to deal with fireballs in the defense section. Lastly, scissors is how we beat paper, by doing something unreactable. Normally, a dash in far C or dash in far A will work just fine for this purpose. This game does seem slower than, say, Strive, but just do this for me. Tell me if you reacted to this properly. If you said yes, shut up, Ryan, I know your ass is being a contrarian. Now back on topic. Honestly, if you only use a single neutral style, you will be predictable and easy to beat. Yeah, you can win game 1, but you're not gonna win the rest of the set if your opponent can adapt. You should be swapping between the different play styles as necessary. Learn how to play all three to be able to control neutral as best as possible and be able to adapt on the fly. Now that you know this, boot up some matches and keep the RPS in mind. It is 90% of what I'm thinking about when I play.
But Wish, When do I learn some real combos?
Once you learn this is the hard stuff. Combos are just muscle memory, like bandit tricking in Siege, counter-strafing and recoil control in Counter-Strike, or getting a full combo in a rhythm game. In those matches, I want you to solely work on your neutral. Play like my brother does. All neutral, no combos. And I bet he can still kick your ass. Kicks mine just fine, honestly. Don't worry about your win rate or your loss rate. Remember that you are still learning. It's more impressive to have over 2,000 matches played with a 57% win rate than to have 75 matches played with a 90% win rate. And it all comes down to simple dedication. Now, you may hear that first number and you might be thinking, Wish, that number seems unrealistic. I'll never hit that. My guy, cause let's be real, no woman is watching my YouTube content. If I really dedicated myself for even 4 hours in a fighting game, depending on how good the matches are and the matchmaking is, I could potentially play over 20 sets, which are 2 out of 3 by the way, so anywhere ranging from 40 to 60 matches. Fighting games have very short time commitments per player played once you actually learn how to play. Over all the hundreds of hours I've put into KOF 15, which came out in 2022, I'm sure I'm close to that from online and offline matches, and I'm not even playing 24/7. You get to choose how much time you want to put into a fighting game each day. For example, I have a buddy. He's highly rated for his character in Uni 2. He sets aside just 1 hour every day to play Uni 2, and he's godlike. It's a matter of perspective and how much time you're willing to commit as a person. If you can only spare an hour twice a week, that's perfectly fine. You'll be learning a bit slower than some Zoomer that doesn't have a job and lives with their parents, but they're gonna slow down eventually too. You'd be putting in the same amount of time, just stretched farther than the Zoomer to get to the same place. All right, now that we have a basic understanding of neutral and normals, time to add one more thing into the mix. Let's talk about those specials that I alluded to earlier. Specials, as the name implies, are moves that do something special for your character. From fireballs to reversals to the small amount of charge moves. This game is actually pretty simple in that regard for the most part. It's everything else. Just know that when performing a special move, make sure to wait to press the attack button after the full motion of the control stick. This game has a lot more leeway than others in that regard, sometimes a little too much honestly, but still make sure to end on the 3 for a 6-2-3 input, a 6 or 4 for a 2-3-6 or 2-1-4 respectively, and a 7, 8, or 9 for the current singular 2-charge 8 flash kick input in the game. Another thing to note at this point is that pressing the same attack button of both strengths at the same time gives an EX move. Technically they're called rev arts, but everyone just calls them EX moves. This does increase your rev gauge, so it can overheat you, which will be an important note to remember. Now that you know about specials, hop back in training and be sure to practice all of your character's special moves until you feel consistent with them. A good training exercise is to practice the inputs so you get it perfectly 10 times in a row. Once you feel comfortable on one side, do it on the other. This isn't Tekken, you're gonna end up on the other side. Now, you should have specials down pat. Don't cheat and skip ahead, the only person wasting their time in that regard is you. Try and use these specials after a normal. Tack on some extra damage and practice canceling into specials from normals. To do a special cancel, press a normal and buffer a special closely behind it. It will normally only cancel on hit or block. Some exceptions do apply.
Okay, so now I have a basic idea of what to do when I hit them. How can I open them up on block?
Well, my imaginary viewer, talking to me through my own pitch-shifted voice, do the tried and true run up button, run up. What just happened there is called a mix-up. Mix-ups are how you're really gonna be able to get some damage. Pressing C and E gives you a dodge attack. This one avoids lows and throws. What are throws? Shut up, we're getting there. The standing dodge attack is an overhead for every character.
Can I combo off it?
If they fuck up, but don't worry about that yet. I just taught you specials for fuck's sake. Press A and B at the same time for a throw. You can't block it, and it gives you a good opportunity to run in and start mixing all over again. Just an added note, if you think the opponent is about to throw you, jumping will make the throw miss, and going for a throw yourself will result in a throw tech and you will not get thrown. Defense! But what we can do now is the tried and true run up button, run up, throw? Yup. This is a tick throw. Learn it, love it, abuse it. It's a very strong tool in this game. Always be mindful of the throw if an opponent is in close range. And be wary of whiffing it. It is very easy to punish. And now that we have conditioned them to stand block for overhead and jump or throw attempt for a potential throw tech, let's add one more layer to this, the low. Like with most of our other mix-up tools, run up button, run up low. You should be doing 2B for this so that you can chain into a 2A. Yes, you can mash lights back and forth. Into a special for a small confirm with some quick damage. Alright, let's talk defense briefly. There's 2 ways to do so on the ground and no way to normally block in the air. Stand block and crouch block. Stand block, done by just holding 4, the game automatically does it when an attack is coming your way, gets overheads and mids, but loses to lows. Crouch block, done by holding 1, beats mids and lows, but loses to overheads. Each has their benefits, but normally the idea is that since lows are faster in this game, start with a crouch block and switch to a stand block if they are in the air or performing an overhead attack on the ground. Remember that projectile spam rock thrower? Here's where a big part of beating that comes in. To beat a rock thrower doing this, either jump over the projectile or try and time a block to Just Defend. Just Defense, or JD for short, not to be confused with JD, don't worry, it's contextual, is a pillar of good defense in this game. Something you're going to need, cause let's face it, you're throwing caution to the wind right now. And that's okay. Due to the speed of this game, you will have to balance good offense and good defense at the same time. Fortunately, defense is much easier to be good at initially than offense, as you just have to worry about 3 things. Overheads, lows, and throws, unlike offense, which has much more things to worry about. The window in prior games for Just Defense is pretty generous, and it feels the same in this game. Successfully JDing grants a small increase to your health and reduces your rev gauge. It does allow for something else, but don't worry about that at this point. To note, Just Defense is the only way to block in the air, but the window is a bit shorter, about 1/10 of a second. JDing in the air still gives the same benefits as grounded JDs. Also, you cannot JD while in overheat. Another good defensive option, depending on the character, is a move you exclusively get while in SPG, the Rev Blow. Done by pressing C and D at the same time, you have an aerial and a grounded version of this attack. It also costs rev gauge. Assume that anything with rev in the name does so. It has infinite armor, but loses to throws, and it is very strong since it is locked behind SPG. Use this to force your opponent to block. Most are unsafe, but not punishable. So either just block or be cheeky and throw it out to catch the opponent mashing. Alright, and I think that's most of the basics outside of supers. Am I missing anything else from the rev gauge? Oh yeah, that thing. Welcome to how you get fun combos in this game. Honest to God, this game's combos are very simple until you get to this part right here, Rev Excel. Rev Excel, simply put, lets you chain EX specials into other EX specials. Now, this drives up the rev gauge massively. However, there is a big thing from SPG that I haven't discussed yet, and that is that while in SPG, rev costs are reduced. And the amount reduced depends on where you put SPG. Now you can mess around with some stuff for some simple combos. And I do say simple, because we are missing a couple more key things that I will get into for some experimentation stuff later. It's honestly pretty high level, but still doable early, and it's just a lot of muscle memory. Really easy stuff, honestly. Before we get into the hard stuff though, supers. Honestly, they're pretty easy. For most supers, simply input 236, 236, P or K. The strength of the button press determines the level. Lights for level 1 or ignition supers, and heavies for level 2 or redline supers. The only exception to what I have told you is T-Zox's punch super, which is a 720 input, 2 full circles of the control stick. It's a little tricky at first, but so much fun when you learn how to do it grounded, cause you can. Finally for supers is a secret super, Hidden Gears. Hidden Gear supers are universally input as 236, 236E, and require you to be an SPG and have 2 bars of super meter. If they hit, they do massive damage. But that's not all it does. If you land the Hidden Gear super, it will immediately reset your rev gauge. I'm not kidding. So if the combo you did to get the Hidden Gear to land puts you into overheat, what overheat? Your rev gauge is at 0%, go wild. 2 more things. You probably already saw me doing them, so let me explain them. First up is the easier one, brakes. Breaks are done with certain special moves that are displayed in your character's move list with a BR tag next to the move name. If you see that tag, the move is breakable. Each character has at least one breakable attack. To break an attack, do the attack as normal, then press A and B simultaneously after a certain point in the move. Sometimes it's before the attack comes out, sometimes it's after the first hit, general rule of thumb. Breaks are pretty easy to do and can give you something you always want in an SNK game: a launch. Launching is what actually gives you good combos and damage, so breaks that give launches are very important. Finally is one of the most technical and difficult techniques in the game: feints. Okay, feints. They're done by pressing D and E simultaneously. These help you give frame advantage to normals by faking special moves. There's normally 3 feints: 5DE, 6DE, and 2DE. In training mode, turn on attack data and take a look at the number to the right of where it says frame. If that number is +5 or above after a feint canceled close heavy attack, that's the moneymaker. Use that feint exclusively. On Kyne, for example, it's his 2DE. Until you launch the opponent, you will have to know your normal startup or impact frame in the game's attack data. If that number matches the number in frame, congratulations, that's a link. Yup, it's timing based rather than Gatling based, and I love it. Hopefully you can find the joy in puzzling together some long links to maximize your damage eventually. Feints can lead to some of the most technical combos, but the payoff, oh, the payoff is so fucking worth it. There are a few mechanics that are good later, but not exactly super important for you right now. There's Hyper Defense, or HD for short, which is a JD in block stun. It's done by pressing forward during a block to catch a multi-hitting attack or a mashing opponent. Same bonuses as JD apply to HD. Finally is Guard Canceling. Guard cancels are only possible after a JD or HD. You can cancel out all block stun immediately into an attack. And if you buffer a super into a JD or HD, the super always has invincibility and comes out immediately. This is called a zero frame. Super technical. It's hard even for me due to how you have to buffer stuff, but it's very satisfying to pull off. This game is a blast. To all my friends and family watching this by the time the game comes out, thank you for enjoying this treat of a game with me, and let's have some fun in Southtown, everybody.